What's up, ladies and gentlemen? It's good to see you today on the Speak and See Show. Like, subscribe, and click that notification button so when I get information out, you can get information in. We are looking at a new PPP forgivable loan, which is kind of like a grant. Yeah, it's kind of like a grant. It's a loan, but then the feds pay it for you. So yeah, it's a grant pretty much, but it's not the $10,000 EIDL grant. Let's not get it mixed up. We don't want to give any excuses out there to where we gave PPP, we was lying like a grant. And if you got that $10,000 PPP, it was a little bit different than a grant in that case, but in a way it's not. So let's go ahead and look over this awesome new bill that may be coming forth here for the PPP loans to be like around 3, or would this be 2? I believe it would be 3 because we've already gotten 2, but they're saying it's around 2 again, but it would be actually a 3, and that's free money for your business from the feds, and it's going into legislation soon. I would just like to give a quick shout out to Jason McElhone for all he's doing right now with that EIDL grant information. It was really good. I will piggyback on that later for you guys, but before we get started, can somebody say hey? We still want our 10K.
Yeah.
Somebody say hey, we want our 10K.
Yeah.
Hey, we want our 10K. Somebody say hey, I want my 10K. Yeah, we do want our 10K, and we're going to continue fighting for that $10,000 EIDL grant on your behalf and for behalf of all small businesses out there who did not get the full 10,000. The ones that only got like 1,000 for their being sole proprietor, or they're only 2,000 for having them and their wife, and they need the rest of that $10,000 that was promised to them to shut your doors and we'll take care of you. Yeah, we heard that one before. Now we are going into a PPP, which the Republicans may be on board with a lot more so than, say, the EIDL. They liked the PPP, they didn't like the EIDL. So when we look at EIDL loans or grants, they're a little bit hesitant with that, with getting bipartisan support. We saw that with the RRF program. So now we're going to go into the PPP program. Let me give you some updates on that right now. A lot of you are going to be very psyched to know that this is in the making right now. Okay, so I'm going to go over here, and this was the press release on Ben Cardin's website. This is all straight from the Senate, the horse's mouth themselves. Cardin, Coons, Shaheen announced legislation to get capital to small businesses hardest hit by COVID-19. So let's keep on going and find out where your money's at, okay? Okay, so we're going to the June 10th press release. Remember, this is June 10th. The reason why I'm giving you the June 10th here is because I'm going to piggyback into Jason McElhone, shout out to you, my boy, who has been talking about that $6 billion EIDL grant for the $10,000 and remainder thereof, which I'm a little bit hesitant to be on that. I've known about it since like the 23rd or so of this month, but I haven't really gone heave-ho into this as he has because of the circumstances that were going on with this one. I wanted to see how it played out together, and they kind of do play out together, which would probably put this one more into play than that one, but I'll get into that on my next video, which I will make today as well, so that you guys can be informed on the whole kit and caboodle. Okay, here we go. Let's see what Ben Cardin had to say. Washington U.S. Senate Committee on Small Businesses and Entrepreneurship ranking member Ben Cardin, Maryland, Democratic Senators Chris Coons, Delaware, and Jean Shaheen, New Hampshire, senior members of the committee, today announced their intention to introduce the Prioritized Paycheck Protection Program, P4 Act. So we can call it the P4 Act, but what we're looking at is another paycheck protection program. A lot of people saw round 1 of Paycheck Protection Program, then they got another loan, which I like to consider round 2. Then we're looking at the round 3, which they were considering back then. However, now we're looking at it in a P4 form. So I'm going to call it round 3, I'm going to call it round 3 just to be simple. Round 3, Paycheck Protection Program. Brought to you by Speak and See. Like, subscribe. The bill authorizes new lending under Paycheck Protection Program, PPP, to small businesses with 100 employees or less, including sole proprietorships and self-employed individuals. Eligible businesses must have already expanded the initial PPP loan or be on pace to exhaust the funding and must demonstrate a revenue loss of 50% or more due to the COVID-19 pandemic. So if you've already gotten the PPP loan, beautiful. Ben Cardin goes on to say, Congress must once again act urgently to support our most vulnerable small businesses through this crisis so our economy can recover as quickly as possible after the pandemic. Every business we prevent from failing now is a business we will be in position to create jobs during the recovery. Even as our economy begins to recover, small businesses have a long way to go before they're back on their feet, said Shaheen. A second installment of PPP funding is a lifeline many businesses need to get them on the other side of the crisis while keeping their employees on payroll. Okay, so remember, the Paycheck Protection Program was mainly for getting your employees paid, keeping them on payroll so they didn't have to go collect unemployment and lose their jobs. So that's kind of still the initial brunt of the PPP and why they want to get that PPP out there so that people can keep their jobs during this crisis. You can also use it for, say, rent, electric, and other forms of use for it to get capital for your business. Shaheen goes on saying, this legislation prioritizes smaller businesses, particularly those in the restaurant and hospitality industries that have been hit especially hard in the recent months. Supply chain issues, gas prices, the cost of inflation going out the roof, kind of like it's for this moment we live in right now. Pop open our oil, please. Let's move on. Every effort must be made to make sure federal relief reaches small businesses that need help the most, and this legislation is a vital next step towards that goal. This is the next step towards that goal. I believe that it's going to be it's going to overcome the EIDL programs or the EIDL grants that want to come out. This would be the next step, which is a wonderful way to go. Perfect. We'll take it. If somebody says, hey, I want my 10K, down in the comments, go ahead and leave that. And the hashtag speak, you can understand what I'm saying, that this right here would say, yeah, well, we'll take the PPP, $9,000 if you only got $1,000 EIDL grant. We'll give it to me in PPP. Fine. No way. Any way it comes, if it comes by way of pigeon, we'll take it. So this could be it. This could be that 10K. Senator Kuhn says, in conversations with small businesses up and down the state of Delaware, it's become clear that the employers in vital sectors need more federal aid through the Paycheck Protection Program. Even as closures are ending, countless Delaware businesses are struggling to survive this crisis. That's why I'm proud to work with Senators Cardin and Shaheen on this legislation that will provide substantially more aid to the smallest, most vulnerable businesses that have been hardest hit by this pandemic. Only by aggressively targeting aid can we save our small businesses, the jobs they provide, and the main streets that make our communities proud. We got to pay attention to where he says when we're targeting this now. It's kind of like the first PPP didn't really target. The second PPP targeted a little bit more for the lower income and those with the smallest businesses. Now this third PPP, we don't want the EIDL map, the policy map thrown in there. That's what screwed everybody out of their EIDL grant. So hopefully if we can target it to maybe even more rural areas and go from there. I think the Republicans are looking to do that as well. So let's move on. The COVID-19 recession has affected all industries, especially the arts, entertainment, and recreation industries. Yeah, Ben Cardin wants to get them baseball teams paid. I think he's got up to something with those baseball teams, man. Did they give you some campaign money or something, buddy? I don't know, but let's move on. Which lost half of its workforce between February and April of this year. Nearly half of all restaurant workers lost their jobs over the same period. When you're looking at people losing their jobs this year, 2022, we've got an issue. We've got a problem because we're supposed to be done with that. We're supposed to be creating more jobs. Now that we're not, we realize, is there a way that we can get those jobs back, at least to pump our stats before the election? With this election coming up, we got to realize, it's a good time. It's usually the times when we see big bills like this passed. So keep that in mind. This bill follows a flash report released by the Small Business Administration SBA Inspector General last month, which found the SBA's failure to issue guidance to prioritize underserved and rural markets in PPP did not fully align with congressional intent of the CARES Act. He's up to bat. The CARES Act. You got to line up with the intent of the CARES Act. Somebody say, hey, I want my 10K because they didn't line up with the intent of the CARES Act. So can we do that while we're at it? Maybe we just threw that in here just for a nugget for you guys to know that CARES Act, hey, I want my 10K, is getting ready to roll into fruition for us. Do I have to read that again? Once again, it said, the bill follows a flash report released by the Small Business Administration SBA Inspector General last month, which found that the SBA's failure to issue guidance to prioritize underserved and rural markets in PPP did not fully align with the congressional intent of the CARES Act. Now we're getting somewhere. Now we are getting somewhere. Thank you. The CARES Act still exists. To ensure that underserved and hardest hit businesses can access P4 loans, publicly traded companies are ineligible for the loans. Hospitality and lodging businesses with multiple locations are limited to an aggregate loan amount of $2 million. And a bill would reserve the lesser of $25 billion or 20% of PPP funds for employees with 10 or fewer employees, as well as small businesses in underserved and rural communities. The bill also directs SBA to issue guidance to give priority to businesses with 10 employees or fewer in the processing and disbursement of P4 loans, and requires the SBA to request demographic information of P4 loan recipients. It requires the SBA to, let me look at that again. Hold on a second, guys. Hold on, I gotta, requires or to request demographic information of P4 loan recipients. No, not the policy map, please. Okay. I'm getting ahead of myself here. That's a little paranoia on my part, I think. Demographic requests information on this P4 loan. It may be not the policy map. It could be the policy map, yes, but it might not be. It could be just demographics. Who got the PPP loans last time and who didn't. So it could be that, but I'm not holding my breath. Okay, it might be. Now, for the big bang on it, what's this P4 doing and what's it about and how much will you get and is it forgivable? Here we go. Additionally, the P4 Act would, 1, provide eligible small businesses with as much as 250% of monthly payroll costs worth up to $2 million. $2 million of monthly payroll cost is not a small business in my book, but maybe some people getting paid pretty good out there. And that's what they're trying to bring down to the demographic. Hopefully, it's a financial demographic. We'll see. 2, prevent affiliated businesses with separate locations from receiving more than $2 million in aggregate P4 loans. And third, and most importantly, let's look at number 3. You're going to like this one. Allow P4 recipients to apply for forgiveness of their loans 8 weeks after the loans have been dispersed. Yes! That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about right there, ladies and gentlemen. Another PPP loan that can be forgiven 8 weeks. As soon as 8 weeks after the loans are dispersed. That's faster than the other ones happened. And the other ones happened, they're getting it. They're getting the hang of doing this right here. They're getting the hang of getting that application, getting the money, seeing the numbers, and saying, yes, it's forgivable. Whew. So let's do it. What do you think, guys? I think this was a great show, Speak, right? Yeah, this was a really good one. I like this one too, because grants are good. I like this video too. And this is a very hopefully uplifting video to give you some hopium. But the hopium that we're providing here is going to be both on PPP and the EIDL video that I'm going to be putting out later today. Kind of butts heads with it a little bit, so I don't want to get really excited about the next one as I am with this one. So guys, this is good news for those of you who have gotten the PPP loans and those of you who are needing more of the PPP loans. If you've gotten it forgiven, then you're already in the system. It would be a very easy process for you, and it would go to a lot of local banks and local lendings that would help the economy instead of the feds taking on more pressure and debt in there. But it would also give to the banks that could also afford to start boosting up the economy along with, the regular, average, everyday Joes in America. So I think that this is a great bill, and hopefully you do too. Hopefully you can get in on this. Let me know what you think down below. How you feeling? How you doing? Like, subscribe, and somebody say, hey, we still want our 10K.
Yeah.